I'm going to prove to you that they're lying about the Articles of Confederation. So in 1787, they actually strengthened the Articles of Confederation. They didn't get rid of it, they strengthened it. So the Bill of Rights are amendments to the Articles of Confederation. And the Articles of Confederation was used up until the time of Lincoln. Now, they're going to tell you that it was weak all throughout YouTube channels, even in history books, they're going to tell you it was weak and it only had one branch of government. It did not have one branch of government, and I'm going to prove that right now.
Article 5. For the more convenient management of the general interests of the United States, delegates shall be annually appointed in such manner as the legislature of each state shall direct, to meet in Congress on the first Monday in November, in every year, with a power reserved to each state to recall its delegates, or any of them, at any time within the year, and to send others in their stead for the remainder of the year. No state shall be represented in Congress by less than 2, nor by more than 7 members.
Do you hear that? No less than 2, no more than 7 members in each state. So when they refer to Congress, they're referring to the House, because we know the House has way more members than the Senate. Now, when they talk about the Senate, back in the day, they say the Committee of the States. The Committee of the States, which is the executive branch, they have 1 member for each state. But they're making it seem that no, there was only the legislative, there was no executive, there was no judicial, but I'm going to prove that there was an executive. Obviously, I just proved that there was a legislative, and then there's the executive, which is the Committee of the States, which is 1 member for each state, because the Senate is always less than the House, right? And then also they give you a recipe for the Supreme Court. But all throughout history, you hear stories about how it's only 1 branch of government. It was not 1 branch of government. And if you actually read the Articles of Confederation, it tells you that. So you have to ask yourself, why are they going around misrepresenting the Articles of Confederation? It's because the Confederates, the people in the South, they are the ones that created the Confederate Constitution, and when they adopted Lincoln, that's the Constitution that they used. And because they didn't like the South, during Reconstruction, they changed it and made it seem that the Constitution was created in 1787, when it was really created by the Southerners. And yes, they took some language from the Articles of Confederation and put it into their Constitution. Yes, but ultimately, the Articles of Confederation was used up until the time of Lincoln. When they elected Lincoln, that's when they scrapped the Articles of Confederation.
The United States in Congress assembled shall have authority to appoint a committee to sit in the recess of Congress, to be denominated a Committee of the States, and to consist of 1 delegate from each state, to appoint such other committees and civil officers as may be necessary for managing the general affairs of the United States under their direction, and to appoint 1 of their number to preside, provided that no person be allowed to serve in the office of president more than 1 year in any term of 3 years.
Managing the general affairs of the United States under their direction. That is the executive branch. It's clearly the executive branch, but yet somehow they're going to say that, oh no, it's the legislative, and it's only like the legislative has only 1 member for each state. Well, no, the legislative has 2 to 7 members for each state. The executive has 1 member for each state, and then they also give you a recipe for the Supreme Court. Just listen.
The United States in Congress assembled shall also be the last resort on appeal in all disputes and differences now subsisting or that hereafter may arise between 2 or more states concerning boundary, jurisdiction, or any other cause whatever, which authority shall always be exercised in the manner following. Whenever the legislative or executive authority or lawful agent of any state in controversy with another shall present a petition to Congress stating the matter in question and praying for a hearing, notice thereof shall be given by order of Congress to the legislative or executive authority of the other state in controversy, and a day assigned for the appearance of the parties by their lawful agents, who shall then be directed to appoint, by joint consent, commissioners or judges to constitute a court for hearing and determining the matter in question. But if they cannot agree, Congress shall name 3 persons out of each of the United States, and from the list of such persons each party shall alternately strike out 1, the petitioners beginning, until the number shall be reduced to 13. And from that number not less than 7 nor more than 9 names, as Congress shall direct, shall in the presence of Congress be drawn out by lot, and the persons whose names shall be so drawn, or any 5 of them, shall be commissioners or judges, to hear and finally determine the controversy, so always as a major part of the judges who shall hear the cause shall agree in the determination. And if either party shall neglect to attend at the day appointed, without showing reasons, which Congress shall judge sufficient, or being present shall refuse to strike, the Congress shall proceed to nominate 3 persons out of each state, and the Secretary of Congress shall strike in behalf of such party absent or refusing. And the judgment and sentence of the court to be appointed, in the manner before prescribed, shall be final and conclusive. And if any of the parties shall refuse to submit to the authority of such court, or to appear or defend their claim or cause, the court shall nevertheless proceed to pronounce sentence or judgment, which shall in like manner be final and decisive, the judgment or sentence and other proceedings being in either case transmitted to Congress, and lodged among the acts of Congress for the security of the parties concerned, provided that every commissioner, before he sits in judgment, shall take an oath, to be administered by one of the judges of the Supreme or Superior Court of the state where the cause shall be tried.
So that's the recipe for the Supreme Court. Like I told you, they're lying about history. Like, they're trying to make it seem that it was only one branch of government when it really wasn't, and they're trying to say that it's weak. Well, if it's weak, why don't you make amendments? Well, that's exactly what they did in 1787. They made amendments to the Articles of Confederation. The Bill of Rights are amendments to the Articles of Confederation. That's what they did. But they're trying to deceive people because they don't like the South, because the Constitution that we know and love came from the Southerners. And they don't like that. They don't like black people. They don't like the South. And they just say the most nastiest things about the South and about black people. I mean, slavery is misrepresented by them. They're not going to tell the truth about slavery. Because, like, I always do this as an example. Like, I mentioned this in posts on YouTube, and sometimes it gets deleted. And also, nobody really comes back with any remark. Which is I find interesting, because I always say that, hey, you know, if Black Wall Street was a slave community, all those Caucasians would have been rounded up and executed. That's what I say. And there's some people that agree. There's very few, but I get very few responses or pushback. But I notice that it gets deleted sometimes by people. People just delete it because they know I'm right. So because there's no way that the slave owners would allow anybody to come into a community and destroy their property. Like, no, because slaves were property, right? Nobody's going to come in and destroy their property and they're going to let them get away with that. There's no way. They would all have been rounded up and executed. You understand? So property is valuable. People say that, oh, property in human beings is not, well, when we got out of slavery, we weren't property, and as a result, they started attacking us. You think that's humane? No, it's not. It's not humane. And also, if a slave went to the market and then all of a sudden got lynched, best believe the slave owner's coming after them. The slave owner's coming after. I want all those people lynch mob photos. I want to interrogate all of them. You understand that? That's what they would be doing. But in the free system, your employer won't care. You know, employer, he might be upset, like, yeah, but he won't interfere. You know, and your friends and family, what are they going to do? You understand? Because of who's in the system, you know, the racists and bigots in the system, they don't care about black people. And if you get a lawyer, if they give you a lawyer, you're going to get a shoddy lawyer. But black people, on the other hand, when under slavery, they're going to have a good lawyer because the slave owner is going to have a lawyer. Slave owner is going to have a lawyer. Slave owner is going to have a doctor. They're going to have good medical care. So that's what you have to understand. Okay, we were cooking for these people. We were taking care of their children. We were a huge part of the plantation. We were in family photos. So black people were very well off, actually, in the South under slavery. Some slave owners treated their slaves badly, yes. And that's what the Southerners admitted. They admitted that. But no, we don't hear about that, and it's ignored. But as I said, the Northerners don't like the South, so they're going to misrepresent the South. They don't like black people, so they're going to misrepresent black people. They said that black people were inferior, uncivilized, and had no significant history to speak of. This is for the longest time. There's this guy, James Baldwin. So this is in the 20th century. He was speaking at Oxford or something like that, and he mentioned that in his classes, he was told that black people had no history. and that we were savages, and that we should be thankful that Caucasians came to Africa to bring us to the Americas. And it begs the question, why in the world did they do that anyway? They don't like us. Why are you going to go get people that you don't like and then bring them to here, there, and everywhere? You don't like these people. You understand? And then you have your own people coming to America by the boatloads, but yet somehow you're going to get people that you don't like, that you feel are inferior, and bring them to work for you. And also, you have to waste time and money to go there, come back, get inferior people you don't like, and then you have to pay for their food, clothing, shelter, healthcare, when they get sick. It's like, well, why don't you do that for your own people? Why are you wasting your time going to... So there's something wrong with the narrative. There's something wrong with the narrative. And also, they don't tell you that they brought their own people over here in chains, because it was a penal colony for a time, right? So they were bringing their own people in chains. So that makes sense. It would make sense that they twisted the story and they turned it around. They were bringing their own people in here chains, and they wouldn't go and get black people because they don't like black people, right? But Africans knew how to build ships and travel to other places. They make it seem that Africans didn't know how to build ships. It's like, it's just so irritating, the games that they play. It's so annoying. It's so annoying. It gets on my nerves. But yeah, they're lying about history, and there's a whole host of things that we have to check about history, because they don't even tell you why they have an attitude towards black people. Like, where did it come from? They woke up one day and they said they can't stand black people. Like, where did this attitude come from? I know where it comes from. But the thing is that they don't want you to know, because that will raise questions about their true history, which is why they don't talk about it. But I want you to ask your historians or look it up. Like, where did this animosity towards black people come from, right? Because supposedly the story is that they went to Africa because we didn't know how to build ships, apparently. Anything that's advanced in Africa, other people did it. Okay, so they went to Africa to get inferior people that they don't like, to come work for them, right? When their own people were coming here by the boatloads and needed work, but they're going to go get inferior people that they don't like. Okay, so they do that. They bring us here, there, and everywhere, force us to work, treat us like crap, but somehow we are the problem, and they have an attitude towards us. You see how ridiculous that is? So they're hiding something, and you have to find out what it is. And in my various videos, I tell you what it is. I tell you plain straight up what it is, but you have to listen to those videos. Right now, I just really wanted to focus on the Articles of Confederation, because they're just totally lying about it. But anyway, just read for yourself, and you'll see that they're lying about it. And they're lying about a lot of things. You have to keep on doing research. Don't necessarily believe what I say. Just go research it yourself.